What's up everyone, Criddle here. In this video we're going to talk about the Paladin class in Monsters and Memories. We'll cover how I would build the character and stat priority, the Paladin's role in a group, how well the Paladin can solo, and finally take a look at some of these skills and abilities. The Paladin is primarily a tank class with a mixture of fighter abilities and cleric spells with the added bonus of unique abilities like its aura. While they aren't the strongest offensively, they can definitely hold their own on the defensive front. Paladins can be dwarf, gnome, halfling, and human. High elves may also be an option in the future. As for stats, the Paladin is one of the classes that could benefit from many. Strength and dexterity would help with its offense, giving it added damage and hit chance, while the stamina and agility would add to its survivability for more health and the ability to dodge, block, and parry. Wisdom increases its maximum mana pool, and whoever met a Paladin without high charisma? Seriously though, charisma doesn't do much for a Paladin at this time, but it's usually a trait associated with them, so possibly in the future. That all said, I would cap stamina and wisdom, leaving 3 points left for one of the other 3 stats mentioned. Any of those could be viable, but I would most likely go with strength. For major combat trait, again, any of the previously mentioned stats would be a great choice for the Paladin. As this is a tank class and dwarf, gnome, and human are race options, that also opens up the choice of slippery, stone form, and tenacity. As a gnome, slippery will help resist root and snare effects as well as give an active ability to remove them. With dwarf, stone form reduces physical damage received and increases armor class, as well as removes disease, electricity, and poison effects. And finally, human with tenacity gains resistance to mesmerize and incapacitating effects, as well as the ability to remove those. Weighing all these choices, I would go with stone form if I chose dwarf, otherwise it would be a toss-up between strength and fortitude. I do want to point out that the active ability of the major combat trait has a 5-minute cooldown and must be on your ability bar, which is limited to 10 abilities at any given time. As Paladins have many abilities and spells, this could limit what you have available to cast, and since stone form only has an active component and no passive, you may want to choose another option. For minor combat trait, Paladins have a lot of choices as they use more skills than most. The main benefit of the minor combat trait is that you learn the skill 25% faster. That rules out a few choices like Defender, Warrior, and the weapon skills, Bludgeoner and Swordsman, as these will be used often and should stay maxed. Abjuration and Divination are mostly used for buffs, which are more often than not cast out of combat, making fizzles not much of a problem, and would rule those out as well. Alteration is mostly used for heals, which I'd be casting often, especially if I plan to solo, keeping it capped. This leaves Evoker and Shieldman as my options. Evocation is used mostly for direct damage spells, and while the Paladin does have some, they are mostly geared towards the undead. This means these spells will go uncast a lot of the time, making it hard to keep capped. Personally, I would go with Shieldman so that I could switch to a two-handed weapon for the added damage, but keep the shield skill maxed easier for when I needed the extra defense. Major non-combat trait is generally the same for every class, and I would choose Master Artisan if I plan to do trade skills or forage for the free food and water. Fast and slow metabolism, in my opinion, are not worth it, as food is fairly cheap and easy to obtain, and currently endurance doesn't do much other than allow you to jump a few extra times. As for Iron Lungs, it is easily replaced with the Endure Breath spell. While Infravision and Ultravision can be nice for seeing in the dark, you can also use light sources or adjust your monitor to compensate. And finally, we have the minor non-combat trait, which is up to you. Choose whichever trait you want based on the trade skill you want to level, or if you want to level several, find the one that would be most difficult for the extra 5% chance to skill up. As for skills, Paladins start off with all the skills needed for basic combat like offense, defense, and its weapon skills, as well as its casting skills. At level 8, Paladins can learn Channeling, which helps prevent interrupts when they take damage, as well as Meditation, which increases mana regen while sitting. Finally, at level 20, Paladins learn Double Attack, giving them the ability to attack twice each round of combat. I recommend returning to your trainer at each of these levels and putting 1 point into each of these skills to get them started. For abilities, the Paladin receives a few to take note of. First and most notably are the Paladin's Aura and Smite, which make the Paladin stand out among other tanks. Paladin's Aura increases the party's armor class, while their Smite damages their target and heals themselves. Speaking of heals, the Paladin receives Lay on Hands at level 8, which acts as a complete heal to their target. In addition to these, Paladins have several other abilities which help them tank, like Slam, which adds damage, Kick to interrupt spellcasters, and Taunt to keep enemies focused on them rather than their party. Finally, for abilities, Paladins have Weapon Shield, which basically is a stance that reduces physical damage received, and a personal shield spell that completely negates all damage for 15 seconds. Moving on to spells, Paladins have received many from the Cleric class, although several levels later. These include protection spells, cures, and heals. In addition to those, Clerics have a line of stun spells, which the Paladin also receives to go along with their assortment of stuns and interrupts, making them one of the best classes in the game at stopping spells and abilities from being used against them or their party. Paladins also receive direct damage and fear spells specific to undead targets. Lastly, for cleric spells, Paladins receive the ability to resurrect fallen players, which can recover some lost experience. Not all Paladin spells come from clerics, however, and one big one to note is the Ancient Guardian, which summons an Ancient Guardian to fight alongside you for 30 seconds. Overall, Paladins are powerful tanks that can self-sustain when you lack a dedicated healer or they're out of mana. Paladins not only tank for their party, but they can protect them as well with their aura and other buffs. Their solo potential is fairly high as they can heal themselves and stun or interrupt the target's abilities, but Paladins do lack a bit of damage output unless they are fighting undead, in which case they are amazing. Anyway, that's all for this video. If you enjoyed the content or found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and follow for more. Also, be sure to tune into my Twitch streams where we'll be playing and chatting about Monsters and Memories as well as many other games. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!